agenda is
Thank you.
We don't have a quorum
there's
right now,
supposed to be a
but
couple more coming.
Mike's
We don't have a quorum
Mike's
yet.
supposed to be a little bit late, so we will have a quorum when Mike shows
We
up.
just won't have any votes. So
There's only one resolution. There's
Yes.
only one resolution. So.
well, we didn't open the meeting, so
Thank you very much.
We are
Mr.
recording.
Chairman. I brought you for your, for each of you, a copy of our annual report. We did have our annual meeting a couple of weeks ago. Several of you were able to join us. We appreciate that. We had the upstate regional director of the Small Business Administration as the keynote speaker. He, as you know, CEDC runs a loan fund that is comprised of pre-federalized community block grant money that the county had passed on to CEDC years ago, as well as money that we received from the Small Business Administration as their Columbia and Greene County micro enterprise lending intermediary. Over the last 8 years, we've done over, between the two funds, over $5 million in loans to over 260 small businesses. And with only $150,000 write-off. The way that works is because the SBA, if you default on your SBA loan by more than 3 payments, we have to pay the SBA back. So we buy it out from using the county fund, and then we work with the client to get them on track. And you know, if you think about the fact that $150,000 of write-offs in 8 years when we've loaned $5 million. So Martha Lane and Steve Vandenberg run the program, and it's provided significant revenue. And you know, we have brought down the county's share of the revenue for CEDC to about 50%. It had been up as high as 70% originally, and we supplement that all the interest income from the loan program and the technical assistance grant that we get from the feds. It's $270,000, and the interest is about $100,000 a year with membership dues. So we had a good meeting and another good year. The updated financial statement is on the next to the last page, and our assets and liabilities are at 4.8 million, and our income and expenses resulted in a $16,000 net bottom line. As you know, with a not-for-profit, you don't want a loss, but you don't want to have a big bottom line showing that you didn't use the money to support your
carry out your duty.
Agenda, whatever.
The next, any questions on the annual report? We certainly appreciate the Board of Supervisors' support, both in terms of providing us with funding, but also with providing us with validating what we do by providing us with opportunities to work on projects that are important to you.
Mike, there's handouts.
Because it puts us at the center stage on
One from each
broadband,
pile.
housing, and other issues that we wouldn't be getting exposure on if we were not doing those times. On broadband, we are in the process of going through what they're calling the rebuttal stage with the state broadband office. This PSC put out a list a year and a half ago. The FCC has put out lists. We created our own list, as you know, by basically going poll to poll with our consultant. And we're down to what we believe to be about 700 addresses. About 200 are in the town of Hillsdale. And 135 are in New Lebanon and Ghent. With New Lebanon and Ghent, we're working with the towns and with the USDA to access the funding that Congressman Delgado received for Austerlitz, Ghent, Canaan, and New Lebanon. As you know, Austerlitz and Ghent went ahead and used ARPA money to build out. I understand that again, things are picking up. There was a delay because of poll licenses and other things that, made it appeared that Mid Hudson wasn't, moving forward at a pace that, the town was satisfied with, but that seems to be, from my conversations with the supervisor, moving forward. We did have to engage, Senator Schumer's office, as well as, the Lieutenant Governor, since he was the original source of the grant when he was in Congress, to, both at the USDA and, to get them refocused. Apparently someone had retired and it wasn't clear who was supposed to pick up that file, but that seems to be back on track. Shortly after Schumer's office called them, they sent the paperwork to SHPO to do a review of historic preservation issues. I think there's only three or four areas where it's underground. We're not on an existing pole. So, we think that's a quick review, except when I pinged the woman who runs that program and she said, well, we certainly intend to comply with the 30-day review period that we're allotted. Okay. So Delgado's office called, and an hour later, they sent us a request for additional information. So at least they picked it up and reviewed it. So we appreciate our support from our state and federal officials.
So does that mean we have less than 400 addresses after Canaan and New Lebanon in the whole county?
Well, yeah, but I think that the issue is
Have to put your name.
there's two issues. One, half of those are more than 300 feet from the road, and it's not clear whether the USDA, or I'm sorry, the federal broadband money that's going to the state will, how far it will take it in. I believe that both Consolidated and Mid Hudson, with the ARPA grants and the USDA money, are going to bring it to the house as part of the contract. The other thing we're looking at, someone suggested to me that there could be money. As many of you know, there's DEC and money from environmental facilities to get grants for low and moderate income certified households to bring sewer and water laterals from the street. And we're looking into that. And we also thought, well, if there were census blocks where they were more than 51% low to moderate income, we could possibly apply for community development block grant money to actually bring broadband to that community or that location. The data we're getting back from Don Meltz from the mapping is there was one address in each of the census blocks that was brought to the state identified as low to moderate. So, we are continuing to try to find angles. We had the chairman received a call or inquiry, I guess by email from Verizon, asking if he would have a meeting with them. He had me set it up with Supervisors Guzzi and Livonia as vice chairs. And they started out by telling us that they wanted to talk to us about them coming in and providing broadband using legacy copper wire poles from their telephone system. Fellow overlaid the map on the screen, and it's basically Greenport, Hudson, and places that are almost 100% served.
And now they want fiber anyway, so.
And I think so. What happened was he said, "Well, let me go through my presentation." I said, "Well, why don't I tell you where we are?" When I gave all this information, he said, "Well, you just cut my presentation in half," because he was going to explain to us that we needed to challenge the maps. And
Been doing that for a few years. haven't we?
so he did tell us, and I was pleased the chairman and the vice chairman were on the call, because he said, "Well, you're really far ahead of other counties that we're talking to." But I keep discounting that on the basis that we only had 25 to 30,000 addresses. And if you're in a county with 400,000 addresses, I don't know where you start. We are continuing, we have KMZ maps. Chris helped me with it this morning and opened it up. But the issue is whose list is right. The FCC's list still has 2,000 people on it. So when we talk to people outside of, when we talk to the feds or the state, there's 2,000 on that list. Prove us wrong. We don't go in and say, we've already gotten these people on. But the FCC list hasn't been updated since December. So every time one of the 4 providers connects someone, they're supposed, on a quarterly basis, they submit an updated list. And we also felt in December that a number of the FCC addresses, they did it by satellite. So, if the barn was 100 yards from the house, they thought it was another house. And so they were over counting. But all in all, the downside of the call with Verizon was I asked the fellow from Washington, what is your understanding of the process? And he said, well, they're doing the rebuttal stage. That's 45 more days. Then they'll finalize a list based on that input, and they'll send it to Washington, and Washington will review it. They'll send it back. Then they will go out to bid to the providers for the list that now is the official only able to be funded address list. That's got to take, you got to give them 45, 60, 90 days to respond to the RFP so they can give the pricing. Hopefully they're already doing that based on our list and what they know on their own. Then it goes pricing from all of the unserved addresses across the state goes back to Washington. Then if they approve the pricing, they send it back to the state. The state then enters into contracts with the providers, and then the providers start work because once the contracts are signed, because it's a reimbursable grant. And then I said, when do you reasonably expect that people will be in the field? And he said, second or third quarter of 2025.
Well, we know that's not gonna.
And
Right.
it won't happen. No, it'll be later. It'll be later.
Right,
Yeah.
but our next year is worked into almost 3 years.
Yeah. So anyway, it's not good news for those of you who have people calling every day asking what's up. I think it might be at a certain point, it might dictate that people realize they're not going to get it and have to go satellite. And we did look at using,
Pay for their own expansion.
and we did look at providing, 3.75% 5-year loans to people. If they needed 15 to 20 grand to do it, it would be a 250 or 3.75%, $15,000 5-year loan is a $270 a month payment. So it would be like the payment you would see on TV when people were trying to sell solar or satellites, on those late channels when you're watching reruns. So
Did they talk at all, I know it's another technology, but did they talk at all about 5G and whether there an interest, or is that a different division of Verizon?
that's a different division. When the guy said you were one of the few counties that took the call, I said, well, we really want to talk about cell service.
Right.
Right, yeah, right.
And the guy said, well, I'm not.
We'd love for you to fix that.
I'll get you someone else. So we have to follow him up.
That's close.
I think we just keep the pressure on. We are going to, they have the state now on Tuesday at 2:00 has office hours for people who have been registered on behalf of the county, which we are with our consultant. So we're going to call tomorrow and ask some more questions. The bidding is interesting because with anywhere from 700 to 1,000 addresses dispersed the way they are, with the exception of the concentration in Hillsdale. The state wants to bid them in what they're calling polygons, where you would draw a box and they only want each county to have 3. I think the whole county should be a polygon because with 4 providers overlapping, backing up against each other
Service
on the
areas,
same
right.
streets, you could draw those polygons in a way that nobody applied, that no one submitted an application.
Can any of this application money be used for underserved areas if somebody wants to expand and bring fiber to an area that's underserved now with
If
just,
it's underserved.
dial up or something,
It's unserved or under, it's both, but you have to be there right now. It's not like, I want to build, 50 houses in a subdivision.
No, I mean, but
If
there's,
they exist now, they could get money. Yeah.
okay.
So when we did the reconciliation for the Ghent grant, did we just reconcile those 4 lists for those 4 towns? Or did we attempt to reconcile the list for the whole county?
Well, with the USDA, we can only do the 4 towns because that
Okay.
was all that was in the appropriation.
Okay,
But we did look at, to be sure that there weren't anyone in Ghent or Austerlitz that had been missed because that money could have been used for that.
But I think most of because we did a drive-by, your list was the closest in terms of accuracy.
Well, and it cost us $60,000, which
That's how we got it done, was a drive-by, really,
Nothing like eyes on the problem.
And-
Right.
And, as you know, not to provide further self-promotion beyond Verizon, but we did have an email from Adam Bosch from Patterns for Progress saying that I was down in White Plains and the senior VP at Verizon was talking about the Connect All process. She mentioned she had talked with you and supervisors. And I told her that Columbia and Ulster County are by far the most prepared, organized, and aggressive about getting funding to connect their remaining addresses. So, having said that, it's really just because all of you have kept the pressure on, and we've all kept the pressure on, and the state has allowed us to have a call with the director of the program once a month, whether we need it or not. And my biggest concern was because of that, and because they were telling us that early on that they would forget about us and think we didn't need their help. So, it has been a good program, but longer than any of us ever expected. Moving on to the task force, Chris, why don't you just give an update and explain the resolution that we're presenting to you?
Yeah, so three quick updates on the things that I think we've been talking about the most. So the accessory dwelling unit grant, the contract has been received by RUPCO. So the way this was initially worked out, the county was the applicant, we partnered with RUPCO. It turned out through RUPCO's experience in Ulster County, it was easier for them to be the primary recipient of the grant funds. That way they don't have to they don't have to wait for county disbursement issues. They just want the cash flow. It's a reimbursement grant. They want the cash flow of 14 capital projects and the disbursement. So they'll be signing off on that. It's looking like we have a tentative date for a fairly casual contractors breakfast. June 26th, potentially. We're working with Rich Harrington's to get as many contractors as we can. And that won't be specific just to the ADU grant. That'll be kind of a broader conversation about trying to get more contractors working on affordable housing throughout the county. So that's ADUs. Pro housing communities, we're still the county with the most, those towns that have submitted everything that they need to submit at 5, most in the state. We just learned last week the first new program that's locked behind the pro housing community designation is actually part of the CFA. So this is through ESD. It's not specifically for housing. Housing can be a piece of it. You specifically can't do just housing with this grant. It's a capital improvements grant. But it's the first new program that's locked behind the pro housing community designation. We knew that some would be coming out, and this is the first one.
And what's it called? I'm sorry, Chris.
Ooh, it's a capital improvements grant. I don't know what the
Okay.
actual name is, but I can forward that to you. It's through the consolidated funding application
Okay.
process. Yeah, I'll send it. Like I said, that to everybody. So you don't need to be a certified community yet, but you do need to be a certified community by the time you receive the funds, and you have to have submitted everything that you need to submit by July 31st. So it's still.
So what we've done is Chris has put together a list, and he's sent out information at least twice to supervisors that many of you responded by moving forward. We just want to be sure that if you don't want to do it, that's great. But if you are busy and have other jobs and wasn't a priority, we'll help you get it done so that if you can apply for money and it's too late. Chris was very, very successful in getting 2 or 3 towns who didn't really say they were interested in accessory dwelling units until after the grant was announced into the program. And the state was very gracious to allow us to do that. They could have said, deadline with deadline.
Yeah, so 23 of the municipalities are now participating in ADUs, basically everyone that allows them. I know that you guys are working on it, or thinking about working on it.
We're public hearing in July.
Excellent. I know Hudson has had a few internal conversations. So the good news is there's another round of ADU funding. There's still $29 million left in this program. So there may be 2 more rounds. They've only been $10 million.
Well, good example was Greenport. We interpreted the rule to say that if it wasn't in your zoning, you couldn't do it. And they have no zoning, so
So
we
they
just,
can do anything.
so that's what the planning board,
Away with that, right?
the planning board chair said, oh, we'll approve them. So
So we added them, and then the last piece, the land bank. So our submission or our application for operating funds. This is non-capital funds, just admin. That's into the state. The first land bank meeting is next Thursday. So that'll be the very first kickoff meeting. It's an organizing meeting. We'll just adopt bylaws and policies, things like that. Hopefully this summer there will be another round of actual capital funding for land banks. And what we're really crossing our fingers about, there are a few land banks that have never received that type of funding because there just hasn't been an award made since they were established. So we're hoping that that exists. And the state did just put another $50 million into the budget this year for it.
Funds.
So it goes back to, what you did, in January. Chris had, discovered that, I was accessory dwelling unit, but when we discussed the land banks, the issue was because of the Supreme Court case that said the county can't take the equity out of the property beyond the penalty and tax due, which was really how the land banks were funded. I already sent you to some lawyer in New York and said, why would you apply for a land bank now? And I said, well, there's 3 left before the legislature would have to re-up the authorization bill, and they've done it twice. And last time it was not an easy pass. And so we applied, and we were able to get it. And our theory was that if there was no available funding or mechanism that would reinvigorate the infusion of money in the land banks after this court case changed the model, then you just dissolve it. But the state put $50 million in the budget, and it was interesting to see, if with the solution, I felt that there'd be a lot of people interested in land bank, and it's not only at the county level, it's at the town and city and village
Any
level.
foreclosing government, we could do citizen sense.
And the city is not a part of it because they do their own foreclosures, but we can ultimately do an intermunicipal agreement to include them when we figure out how it's going to work.
So the actionable item tonight, and I have to apologize, there are 2 things I want to call out. So at the top where it says home program, that should be CDBG. I think it's correct.
We'll send you back.
It's correct on here, okay.
Yeah, and then the second to last whereas in the first page, I just clean up something for I don't think that reads. Essentially, every year there's community development block grant money that comes down to the state. The state creates a variety of programs. One of the programs that they've been offering for quite a while is a community planning grant. Philmont just received one of these last year. What we decided to focus on, going through the housing needs assessment, going through Patterns Housing Brief, and just a variety of reports and presentations that we have. No one ever did a physical condition survey, actually going out to look at the physical conditions of housing in the county. So we would like to apply for that this year in advance of applying for rehab grants next year. So we know where we should direct that money. The question that I've got, I don't think we've figured this out yet. So $50,000 could cover a countywide physical inventory if we just do 4 towns or villages that are representative of the county. 50 grand will cover that. There's a consultant doing the same thing in Schoharie County right now. They've got about the same number of housing units, and generally they're about the same size. If we wanted to do every community in the county, it's probably going to be potentially 4 times this.
And we haven't talked about this, but one thought would be to, harvest the assessment rolls from the county and maybe pick pockets. So it's not just, it's not anything over $500,000. We're not going to, or whatever that number is. And because, we're conscious of the fact that you're not going to,
Say at or below the median price.
yeah, find a, something so that every town would have some idea of where, because when the plan results in another grant application, and what's that grant application?
So we could either do single family or multifamily rehabs. I mean, there are a variety of rehab grants. That's what this work is in aid of. So through CDBG, there are single family home repair and multifamily home repair, and the home program, which is a separate pot of funds, also the single family repair.
And we have been successful in doing enough preliminary work for consultants to keep their costs down. We just say, do it for me. It gets expensive. I mean, the housing study we did for $8 grand.
But the inventory would be tied to eventual grant awards, right? Because, so if you survey conditions in 4 towns, when you applied for funding and said, these are the sites we think will be eligible for funding, these are the locations we think will be eligible for funding, it wouldn't limit you to those 4 towns, right?
Right, that's right.
Okay,
Yeah.
they'd just be represented.
Yeah,
That's
the way,
the one thing I'm concerned about. Part of what we were talking about is how
right,
do we develop an inventory of properties that need to be.
Well, it's like the accessory dwelling unit. There's probably 13 slots and there's 18 towns.
Right,
You know, so we have to be conscious of,
getting it broadly distributed.
but you know, the theory here is,
And who wants it, you know?
your process has to come here and then it goes to the board of supervisors meeting. Then they have to hold a public hearing. And we can hold a public hearing, I think, the same night as it goes to the committee or from the committee.
Yeah.
But, you know, we don't want to be doing that in advance of a July 25th, CFA filing deadline and, you know, for some reason not get a quorum or, you know, like if tonight we don't get a quorum, at least it's, you know what we're going to vote on the next time.
Well, I mean, did you want to ask a
I just
question?
have a quick question, because I know we've had a variety of conversations about, mobile homes. Would this include mobile homes as well?
so they would have called, oh, as far as the survey?
Yes.
That's an open question that I think we might actually ask them to take a look, because there is the mobile manufactured home replacement program that we talked about at length.
Yes.
So I would like to,
The,
whoever,
the difficulty, I think you know, we have a good list of mobile homes because they're their classification of the real property tax records. But when we were talking about the grant program for the mobile homes, it's a difficult program. And how much money was there statewide?
well, you can ask for 1.7, but that's the mobile manufactured home repair program is one of 4 under the home bucket of funds. And there's only $15 million, and that's for the entire state.
Small bucket.
It's a pretty small
And
bucket.
so it goes back to the question we were having here, you know, it can be applied, you know, the applicant can be a municipality or a not-for-profit with housing experience. And, you know, we don't have the capacity, we can help the county get an application and help them get someone like Rupco to do the work like we did with the first project. But, you know, and, you know, if you got the whole 1.7 million, how many was there a limit? It's about 100.
You can get 10.
You could get 10. Are they 10 in that park, or are they, we gotta really start to think about when you're getting a limited number of awards and you don't know that you're gonna get the award the second year.
Well, that's one of the things we're talking about with the Rupco contract is how we can
Yeah.
broadly disperse the funding. But I really think that we do need, as these grants become more competitive, we need to tee up properly. And so to have a source of data that will make us more competitive. And so that we know what the runway looks like. We know how many houses, we know what kinds of houses.
Well, I think we're fortunate again to be able to get a county intern through the program that you run, which is big for us because it's you cover the compensation. And I think, you know, we have a woman who is going to aeronautical engineering school, and you know, that is a big part of that. And getting, you know, Chris and I have been looking at what projects we're going to have her work on. But if we can get the inventory down to where we can agree as to where the consultant goes to document it, we can eliminate, you know, significant addresses that aren't ever going to be eligible for those grants.
So, I'm sorry. No, I was just gonna say there's no more discussion. I want to move the resolution, but.
Just because, no, I just wanted to know if the grants that you're talking about now are as well tied to the pro-housing certification.
CDBG and home are not. Yeah, so these were pre-existing. So if you look at what's tied to pro housing, it's mostly economic development grants.
Right.
DRI is one of them, Mid-Hudson Momentum Fund, which we are locked out of because we're not in Mid-Hudson.
So that includes New York Forward.
New York Ford is in there,
Yeah.
Restore, Main Street.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are quite a few things that are locked behind that now.
And again, it's,
Because although we got the certification, nobody seems to know it other than me and you, because the governor's office, you know, they all said, don't say anything. They have to
Right.
press.
Gotta get way closer to election time, then they'll tell you, you
What
know.
I said to them was, look, I have a board meeting and I'm not gonna hold this back from my workers. Is that okay? He said, yeah, but it'd be even better if there were no press.
Well, we-
We were sworn to secrecy about the ADU program, getting that grant.
Yeah.
So-
If we still are, if you
so
go to my
what we-
website, all our towns are listed.
Exactly.
We have an idea for you. We obviously wanted a quote from the chairman and the two committee chairs. So we sent it over to Jesse DeRote, who wrote a press release. We told the governor's office, said we couldn't send it out till next Tuesday. And because she was going to put her release out on Monday. And Tuesday came and he sent it out and she didn't.
The calls I started getting. What did you write this one? Do you guys like your quotes?
Yes, we do. How about a second?
You want to second this? Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so who, so
Brenda made a motion for
Brenda made
this
the motion.
resolution.
Okay.
Supposed to go to finance too.
Yes.
But you did, I think Kelly and Sherry figured that out.
I'm sorry,
It
what was
goes to
that?
finance too.
Yes.
Yes.
So we don't accept it. Okay, we'll move this along for you.
No, we have to
Gotta
We have to vote.
All in favor?
Moved in second, all those in favor,
Aye.
any opposed?
You need to accomplish those without objection, so ordered.
Right, yeah.
The last thing I think we have two last things. One of the solar agreements. Now that these solar projects are coming online, people want to pay and we want them to pay. But each of the pilots had different methods of payment. One says the company shall pay each particular taxing jurisdiction. Well, it's a $3,200 payment. And so what we're looking at with doing is proposing to the towns and the school districts that the county IDA or CEDC become the aggregator, collect the $15,000 and get it distributed out so that each town doesn't have to have the tax collector doesn't have to figure out what documents should I be looking at, because there's no invoices for these. And so we
We
will,
always did pilot or
Yeah,
idea.
like an idea pilot. We don't need your vote yet, but when I hope to get some consensus in the next 4 to 6 weeks, and then we would come to you to do a simple amendment to all of the solar contracts that you're engaged in for that purpose.
And they would just say that the idea would collect the money
Yeah.
and then disperse it.
We also wanted to update you on the New York Office of Community Renewal, Economic Development Micro Enterprise Grant Program. It's a program that you applied for under our request. You were awarded the $300,000. The program provided that we then contracted with CEDC to administer it. We could have taken a $30,000 fee to administer the money. It required that we have a 4-week seminar, 2.5 hours. The thing oversubscribed. We had 18 people sign up. A couple weren't eligible, but they still took the course. And now we have 13 people who are eligible for the grant, up to $25,000. They're all very diligent, and what the grant provides is it can only be for startups or existing businesses with 5 or less employees where the owner or one of the employees is low to moderate income. So it's not an easy,
It's a lot.
Yeah.
and so what we did was, we didn't want, because everyone was so diligent about it and very enthusiastic about it, we reduced our fee to $5,000 so that we could make additional monies available into the $300,000 for grants. And we figured that it took us a while to learn the program. Once it's a reimbursable program, so the county should be getting money from the state in the next 2 or 3 weeks. They turn it over to us. We'll get it right out to these people. That once we've encouraged them to expend the money immediately, because then we can get them reimbursed. And once 80% of the money has been reimbursed, we can apply for more. And we'll have the program up and running in a way that, we'll make the gravy on the back end, because we won't accept as many people into the class. We just didn't know. Didn't want to. So we're excited about that process.
Was one of the hoops that it was a first-time business, or was it just a new business?
It had to be less than 6 months if it was a new business. An existing business had to be under 6 months, or it had to, it was
But not necessarily a first business. Somebody who had owned a
No.
business previously could apply.
And, you know, one of them is, they're gonna buy a second boat for the group, that Kate Tracy and, Sam Merritt are involved in to, run shuttles over to Athens and Coxsackie. You know, it's, and again, you couldn't, commit to buy anything with the money before you got the grant. I mean, it was, really complicated.
It's amazing that you have that many people that read all those reports.
Or that I mean, it's a credit to Martha, Elaine, and Steve that they were able to market it to a degree that people were aware of.
You had the interest in it.
Thank you.
And what we've done with some, is, we've also given them a $15,000 loan, so that now they have $40,000, and it's only costing them $275 a month for 5 years. And not everyone was really qualified for that, because you really had to understand cash was fungible. And that, but those 5 or 6 that took that option, really feel comfortable about what they're doing.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Chris.
Yeah.
I'm not going
Lisa with Cornell.
Hello, and I've also brought my colleague Megan Gardner. I'm going to share first something we talked about last time. At your last meeting, I was at an amazing conference with NICON. If anyone ever is looking for anyone in the nonprofit world for a great conference, you can get a lot of scholarships for people and government people as well. And it's a 3-day executive director, they do manager one. So Becky was here last time. The time before that, you guys had asked some questions about 4-H. So you have in front of you a piece on 4-H. Our current exciting. So these are the clubs we currently have in Columbia County. The oldest club started in 1947, which is pretty cool. The challenge we have, we're doing an amazing job, is we have 53 young people waiting to be in a club. The challenge is to find adults who want to be club leaders. It is very hard to get people to agree to it. Our program manager, Sarah, and our program director, Becky, have met with many, many people. And once you go through the liability, the legality, the support, the time, the effort, it's been very challenging. So we continue. And if you guys have anyone here interested, anyone.
Well, what you just said is one of the main reasons why I've, withdrawn my interest in being a club leader.
Yeah,
It's just too many hoops to get through.
It's not like the old days when we were
Right.
growing up.
yeah.
It's not like when we were kids.
Right, exactly. When I did it.
How many clubs are looking for?
So there's 53 youth who are not in the club leader, but we can assign them into this active with the 8 that we have as independent members. So they can always do an independent member, and those independent members, if you look on the back of the second page, participated in a variety of programming that we offered that they were able to attend. So the goal is to continue to try to focus on bringing in more course leaders. The great thing about it is it's an international curriculum. A lot of the evidence, all evidence-based research. So there's phenomenal things. It's just getting people to have the time that want to do it. Some of the homeschooling communities are hoping to make more inroads in with them because they can use it as their curriculum.
Yep.
So that's, and then on the other side, I know we had at one point, Supervisor Adams, you'd asked, how is it that we looking how to have programs in your community? So all of these programs that we're doing in these different communities, this is the community programming. So for example, Megan, for part of her time right now, she's helping us out and she goes into an after school program. And all of these are other programs that are happening in Columbia County with our 4-H programs. So there's a tremendous amount happening. We just do need more leaders, and what we're going to try to do is at the fair recruit, and then after the fair interview people. Should we have any? Should I just sign all of you up?
So have you looked at like the Chatham Public Library and their after school program, which is now kind of in a state of flux because they're looking for leadership and
So over
funding?
Over the last 2 years, we've done email blasts. We've talked to the current leaders and asked them if they would bring in leaders, their family members or friends. And right now we're still going to be hiring 2 new people And once we get them on board after the fair, we figure during the fair, we're going to promote that we're looking for club leaders and then set meetings up for later September is the plan. We would put it in the libraries. We'll put it everywhere. Again, we did that and it was people would come to the interview, they'd be so excited. And then they'd sort of say, sort of the term, and they'd be like, okay, that's a bit more than I was hoping for. So we're hoping we'll find some folks who take it on because, they will, just it's been a little harder, but we are still doing a tremendous amount in Columbia County with 4-H, just wanted to.
So I'm sorry, I'm still
Yeah.
a step behind.
It's okay.
We have 8 independent members, but we have 53 people. and
Waiting.
But the difference is they've chosen not to be a member of one of these clubs.
They can't because they're all at capacity. Yeah, all of these are at capacity.
Now, that's the missing piece. I didn't.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. So they're all at capacity. Each group club has a different number. We have several clubs that have
How
only
many members do we have total now?
How many members?
Yeah,
I think it's about 200 in Columbia
So
County.
we-
They're club members.
right, so we have 58, that's almost a quarter then.
That are waiting.
Okay.
Yes, of course. No.
Just that clarification, because I work with a lot of these programs, like independent members. So there's 8 here. Those are people who are independently participating in 4-H based curriculum. So that's why Lisa was sharing that they can come to all the events. So it's really nice for the independent members. There's still the ability to participate in 4-H, but the 53 members that are waiting want that club-based experience. They're being offered independent. So some of them may be allowed to do that, but most want the club aspect of 4-H.
Well, no, I just think of how hard we're supposed to be working to get kids off media and into the outdoors or to other activities and have that many kids waiting. It seems like a lot.
Yeah, and the good news is that many kids want it and we keep them warm and we invite them to become independent members. And some of them don't want. Yeah, so it's,
So offline, I don't want to take this meeting down. Would you send me what the requirements are to be a club leader?
I will just sign you up, supervisor, yes.
Oh,
Anybody want to second that?
I am a girl that can't say no, but
I know. I will send that to the supervisor, yes.
No, I'm just thinking maybe we could do something with 11, between the two of us, we could
Mhm.
find something, but I
Yeah.
don't, so.
Yeah, absolutely. The other piece I have tonight to share is sort of like, this is what's happening right now in Columbia County. Last week I learned how to cook gnocchi, which are 17 people. People came from Columbia. This is from a grant that our program director got from the Department of Health, where we're doing all this healthy cooking. Megan has done some phenomenal food. Anyone here at our opening for our kitchen? I think Supervisor Collins came, and I forget who it, but Megan did a phenomenal peanut butter dip and fruit and vegetables. So we've got this phenomenal grant right now where we're teaching people how to cook healthy food, and then we give them a crock pot or we give them the cooking materials that they use. So we did gnocchi and a healthy salad. We had somebody from Ulster, somebody from, we don't say you can't come, somebody from Latham, because they read about it, and everyone else was Columbia County, but it was kind of cool. But read about the class, and it came out very good. We did a foraging class 2 weeks ago that was sold out, and that was just amazing right here on your campus. I ate, I'm trying to eat all of the Japanese knotweed. I don't know if it's successful. Pickled, anything pickled pretty much tastes very
Rams, pickled ram. I just made pickled ram.
Exactly, right. And we had ram pesto.
Nice. I made ram pesto too.
Yeah, so we have an ergonomic gardening webinar coming up. We have our Think Differently program. We have our Bunny Safe Space. We're going to offer 2 classes, also one in July. And we have another, we're going to be at the Hudson Farmers Market. We're also going, that's just, with the coming future, very near future. We are also, we visited 10 farms in Columbia County. We've met with Soil and Water, which was very productive. And the farms that we've met with so far, we're, offering what resources are they looking for. We are helping to push the AIM program, which is Agriculture Environmental Management, so that then opens up other funding for agricultural producers. We have been just sort of, our agriculture educator that we have has a livestock background from Greene County, and she went to Cobleskill for livestock and has worked on several livestock farms, also did ginseng. And so she's a very nice, diversified, she worked at Hawthorne, not Hawthorne Farm, but doing the,
Farscape Ecology.
no, the sauerkraut. Yeah, she did that for a while too. So she really wanted to produce ashes. She'll come down the road. And so other than that, that's kind of what's happening right now in Columbia County, getting ready, starting to get ready for the fair. This is one of my wonderful colleagues. This is Megan Gardner. She is the program manager for Family and Consumer Sciences, and she's going to share with you other things that we do in the community that you may or may not be aware of that are essential to creating a healthy and vibrant Columbia County.
Absolutely. So she introduced me. So I'm Megan Gardner. I'm the Family and Consumer Sciences program director. So I realistically want to just touch base with some of the programs that we're offering in the community that are not widely known, and partially because of the private aspect of the programming that we offer. So I did bring brochures for everyone, and then I also brought the schedule of our anger management summer series. I'm going to pass it around. This is the first thing that I'm going to touch on is we offer what's called a community-based anger management class series. I do 3 series. I'll pass that around just to give you an idea of how it's structured, what it looks like. So I do 3 series over the entirety of a year. We offer 2 time frames. It is $70 for the entire 12-week series for people to participate in the program.
I need that one.
If anyone here has ever had to seek any form of anger management, parenting, mental health treatment, it's extremely expensive. There's only 3 other organizations that offer anger management within our community. Some of them do not take insurances, and they're over $100 to $150 per class. And there's often multiple wait lists. So this gives people the opportunity to enroll in these programs at a very financially secure rate. Also, we have contracts with Columbia County and Greene County DSS. So if someone has involvement with Child Protective Services, they can actually enroll in the program free of charge. We do waive the fee for them. I am the main educator that teaches this program. It is a 12-week consecutive, and the great part about this program is if people do complete the program and they are mandated or court ordered, this is recognized by the court systems in both Columbia and Greene County because of the type of curriculum that we utilize and we teach from. It's also open to the public. I do not limit the amount of people who can sign up. I try to keep it to 10 to 15, but again, it's open to the public, court ordered, mandated. Anyone can sign up for the program. It's extremely confidential. There's kind of sells itself, honestly, because of the affordability of the program. Realistically, a lot of agencies in the area. Thank you for sharing that. I kind of forget is the other program that I know offers anger management is on a 3-month waiting list. And if you're court ordered to complete the program in a certain amount of time, it can be very difficult to make that happen. And 3 months is a conservative wait list, let's be honest.
Do the veterans have this information?
These varies. Yeah, absolutely. So I do an email blast. I send out this large amounts of contact information for this. So again, it's open to the public. Absolutely, anyone can enroll in it. We're always looking for funding opportunities and grant opportunities as well to be able to offer it free to the community, which is going to segue into our Parenting with Confidence program. So that is something that is grant funded through the Dyson Foundation, and that's actually a program that's offered to all residents of Columbia and Greene County. There's no requirements to sign up for that program. It's anyone. You don't even have to be. We call it Parenting with Confidence, but realistically, any type of caregiver. I've had 16-year-olds watching their siblings with their parents and required them to do some form of parenting program so that they could utilize that discipline and communication skills. Because, in Columbia and Greene County, I see a lot of generations of families where the younger siblings are having to help out. These parents are working multiple jobs, getting their kids off the school bus. Realistically, a lot of the families that I work with are raising, they're kind of moving back into that more of a generational support systems. So the Parenting with Confidence program is completely free. All they have to do is contact my office and fill out a referral form. We do have referral forms for providers where they can get 6 to 8 in-home. So we go to them. There's no transportation issues. It's completely free. We go to their home, work with them in their home with their families. Again, it's anywhere from 6 to 8, but we do offer additional education within the realm of nutrition and finance and budgeting. And again, completely in-home, no requirements. It's offered to all residents of Columbia and Greene County, no age requirements, grandparents. I've had caregivers. I had a woman recently that her husband was boyfriend was moving in, and she had 3 children. And he had never been with children before. So she was like, I want you to be able to do this to have a better understanding of what life is going to be like going from no children.
Did he stay?
So I have little ones. I know how stressful that is. I don't think my husband would take on additional kids. So it's just a really great support system. So if you ever know Absolutely anyone. There is no requirements, and it's extremely confidential as well on our end. We do have 4 educators, including myself, that run off of this grant, so it's really helpful.
Do you reach out to the playgroup, the family resource centers?
I have,
Okay.
yes. Yeah, they're
Okay.
definitely aware of the program. They're really great. So the other thing that's really nice about the Dyson program is agencies can contract us to come in and do group parenting classes. So they're more than welcome to contract us, and we could do like a 6-week program.
Nice.
Also, so we collaborate with both the domestic violence shelters. I teach at Riverside Recovery. It's a women's rehab center that's located in Catskill. So women there are able to have their children while they're staying in an inpatient rehab stay, as long as the children are under the age of, I think they changed it. I think as long as they're under the age of 7, they can live in the residential facility. But if they're over 7, they're allowed to come for long weekend stays. So we teach with them. I teach at both the correctional facilities, Columbia. Yeah, I teach at the Columbia County Correctional Facility and the Greene County Correctional Facility for both parenting and anger management.
Wow.
And it's completely free of charge. So any agency as well can contract us to come in and run group-based classes, primarily for parenting. So it's been utilized. I think I was hired off that grant about 8 years ago. And so we've had it for a while now.
Nice.
And then we also have contracts. It go on forever and ever about all this stuff. So then we also have shared contracts with Columbia and Greene County, the Department of Social Services as well, where we are contracted with them to provide mandated and court-ordered in-home parenting classes as well. Those are 12-week parenting series, or we offer long-term. So I've had a client that I've been seeing for about 7 years now through that contract through Greene County DSS. So we are able to pretty much work with the family through the entirety. It doesn't happen often. Most people are utilizing the 12-week series, but they can re-enroll every 2 years. Or if there's a change within the status of their household, a new baby, families are merging together, so there's a different dynamic within that household.
How much staff, how many people do you have to be able to do it?
Yeah, we have 4. So, well, there's myself. I take on primarily the anger management and some clients, and then we have 3 other educators as well.
Who, I heard that number before, and I
Yeah.
thought that was just like,
Mhm.
that's the beginning. I mean, if
Yeah.
you're doing in-home
Yeah.
stuff.
Mhm. It's really it's very time consuming. So my educators and myself have extremely flexible schedules. So we have to work around our clients' schedules. We usually see people on a bi-weekly basis.
And for how long? Typically?
Depends. Typically, so the Dyson is 6 to 8 classes.
No, I mean, how
Oh.
long, how
Yeah.
many hours?
It's
do
an
you spend?
hour. It's an hour.
Okay.
Yes. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for the clarification. Yeah, they're hour-long programs. And usually like the 12-week series sometimes we'll do bi-weekly. They can meet monthly. Again, it's very flexible. We collaborate with the Department of Social Services. So a lot of times they're providing us with a guidance. I would like you to see the family once a month. We'd like you to see the family weekly, bi-weekly. So with the
Sure, it's a
contract, then they can kind of do.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Usually I try not to schedule more than 3 to 4 visits a day for my educators because lunch, downtime. Then we also have to do curriculum development as well. So all of it is evidence-based curriculum that's provided us from Cornell. Any new curriculum that's brought in, that's approving it. So,
Megan, for anger management, we did that here last year. Can you tell them over for the youth?
yeah, absolutely. So we're going to be doing it again this year as well. Yeah. So in the summer times, we do the youth anger management program as well. We did it as a 6-week series. It is very difficult to get teenage youth to go to a 6-week series over the summer. I don't blame them. I don't want to be there. So we are going to
Especially
do.
if you have an angry meeting, it's a problem.
They don't want to go any realm of education. They're tired. They're burnt out. I do not blame them. So we're going to be doing 2 1.5-hour workshops. And we're going to create kind of shorten the program a little bit because realistically, my attendance rate of 6 youth was all over the place. So I think that I actually probably would get better results by having 2 longer but shorter series classes because they'll be more engaged. If you ever were, I used to work as a social worker for Catskill High School, so their attention span is very limited at that age.
But sometimes
Which is okay.
just being able to recognize triggers.
For sure,
And have a
absolutely.
name for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and if they need to
Find out yourself.
contact,
Yeah, absolutely.
if they need to reach out to
Yeah,
contact you.
definitely.
for
And
something.
sometimes for like even just a game quality. So like a simple example of something within the curriculum is we'll do bingo, but everything that I pull is a trigger. And then we talk about that trigger and where that trigger comes from and how to identify it. And it's a huge struggle with teens and youth, primarily because what if the trigger's your household? What if the training program? And I see it all the time from doing the parenting and seeing it from both ends of the spectrum. Usually the parent has to change a lot of their own behaviors in order for the teen to make some legitimate changes. You know, you can't scream and yell and expect your child to not scream and yell and model those similar behaviors. Again, I could go on a rant about that. So, you know, primarily, and then, you know, so we do have the contracts with DSS. And then as Lisa had mentioned, I work off the nutritional grant from the Department of Health as well. So we were awarded the ability to teach 12 healthy cooking classes within agencies. It's been absolutely wonderful and a great change of pace to what I usually do for work. So I get to teach a healthy cooking class, and then at the end of the class, I can award them all the materials that we use. So the other day I did one where they were able to take home a brand new blender, knives, cutting boards, all the fresh fruit and vegetables, everything that was left over. They literally get to just take it home. And like as Lisa mentioned, all of our classes have been full. I taught one on Sunday to 17 children.
Oh, the terrarium? Was that the terrarium?
The one that I taught on Sunday,
That's not cooking, sorry.
no, I'm throwing, this is the thing about Cornell Cooperative Extension, there's so many facets of Cornell Cooperative Extension. I'm literally talking about foraging, and then the next minute I'm like, we have court-ordered parenting classes. Like it's all over the place. We all have these different departments and responsibilities. So I heard Lisa talking about the climate change, and for me, that's not my area. So sometimes people come to me when I say I work for Cornell, assuming I know. And realistically, I'm like, I can talk about any management, clinical social work, but this realm, you got to kind of, we maintain a really close connection within our agency because that's how we work.
And then we work with, like, for example, folks are interested in climate work, we're working with veterans, you're looking at a grant to do mindfulness and health walks and at both at our property as well as out in the community.
Yeah.
Utilizing that skills.
Yeah.
What did you cook on Sunday?
So Sunday we did, we made a healthier version of like your store cereal bars. So I showed children like how to make cereal bars in bulk using things like shredded coconut, dried raisins, and honey, and all these different, and it's difficult because our agency tries to avoid peanut because of peanut-based allergies. So trying to find a no-cook cereal bar that didn't involve some form of nut butter was a struggle, but showed children how these things that you find in the supermarket, you can make a huge giant tray for half the price. And it was super well received. And then we made like homemade smoothies and then allowed children to add hemp seeds, chia seeds, all different types of things that like boost not only the nutritional quality, but the protein quality of.
And you don't taste those things.
And you
So
don't.
it's nice.
And it's nice. And the children, and like, you know, I think
Sticking kale in them, like you don't taste the kale.
when they're a part of it, they're more willing to try, especially with the idea of them creating
And
it.
especially
So,
with the food insecure
Mhm.
folks, they often have way too much processed carbohydrate, not enough protein. So these, the dip that was made, though it was peanut butter, we did it for our event.
that was pretty cool.
It was insanely good. And then when you think about it, you know, how to get protein into children and vegetables into children, and then families get to leave with all of the food. Because as well, the groceries are very, very high for folks right now. And this way they're like mind blown. Like, wait, we're getting like, you can bring the food home with you and the blender and the cutting board. And they're like, it's our colleague Becky was like, she felt like she was over it. Where'd you take this?
Yeah.
But it's such an amazing grant that we're hoping there's another funding stream. We're doing great with it. We're like, these guys are like out of the park. I'm just an assistant because both Megan and Becky are certified in the nutrition area. I'm just like the assistant that passes things and chops things. So it's a really fun time just to see how happy people are.
Absolutely. And that's, we get contract by agencies. So reentry, we're teaching a class with reentry, the Foley's. We're going to be doing the vet to vet program with the Green County. We're going to be offering a demonstration for them to be able to take home supplies. I actually offered the grant, got approval to go into one of my clients' homes. So it's 2 adults. They have 4 children. They came together. They have 4 each. So there's 8, and then they had another one. So there's 9 children
Oh,
and only
yikes.
2 adults. So I'm able to go into this family's home, bring them groceries, and do a healthy cooking class demonstration within their home and leave. And
It's so good to get the kids
to
to
be
be
able to.
We were at the recycling center on Saturday and the guy who was checking things said, you know, you're supposed to take the labels off the cans. And the man said, well, I had no idea. And his son, who's like 7, said, oh, yes, you did, Daddy. I told you that.
Yeah.
It's good to get the kids.
Yeah.
100%. And this
They're
family, and this family that I'm working with, they were really excited because their 6-year-old's in Quest for cooking. So it gives them the opportunity. I asked, what do you want? What do you need in your family? It makes it more personal, and people are more willing to allow you to come in. And most people wouldn't let someone come into the home, but through our parenting program, we're able to develop these relationships where,
But
you know,
imagine
it's more
trying to
trusting community.
feed 8 children. I mean, the
I
version
can, and most of them are teens, so, you know,
Oh,
yeah,
good.
yeah, so you
Like
think
eating
teens,
machine,
yeah,
yeah.
and adults at that point, once they get 13, you're doing it.
Back to box, just looking at the front door.
So, is there any questions or any?
Oh, wonderful work. That's great.
Thank you for all your work. I appreciate it.
Appreciate the support. Thank you.
Oh, well, you know, I was suggest, but I didn't want to touch it.
We all have some clients since you go.
Any supervisors have anything to bring to the committee?
Thank you so much.
Not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, all those in favor? Any opposed?
Thanks for a great meeting.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you.